Good evening and welcome to the We Arise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How's everybody doing out there? It's glorious Sunday. This weekend was beautiful. Hope your weekend was safe. Happy Halloween weekend. Hope that was good. Did anybody catch President Trump holding a Great Gatsby theme party at Mar-a-Lago? I had some friends send me some stuff. I guess they were attending, and it was fantastic. I saw these pictures and stuff. There was people there I knew. They posted on their thing, and I'm like, wow. It was just amazing. And I think it's just glorious that he's doing it because it's representative of the Roaring 20s. We're coming back into that position. And I thought that was perfectly themed for Halloween. But I saw a lot of that stuff on there. Welcomeinpill.net. Hello, everybody on Rumble. And yes, we are on YouTube. You can see the chat on the screen. That is for Rumble and YouTube. Please go over there and subscribe if you want to be over there and check out that platform as well. We're trying to build that up as we move forward. Let's welcome in everybody over here on Pilled. What's up, Thea? She stepped out for a minute. She'll be back soon. She dropped 1,700 gold pills. Thank you so much. Great time to be alive Monday. So great. There are a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of bad stuff, a lot of positive stuff. But overall, I think we're starting to see how the MAGA base is really enveloped and splintering. I don't even want to use the term splintering, but we're starting to see people that are fake MAGA, phony MAGA, self-implode, self-immolate, as Thomas used to say. Would USA dropping 117 gold pills? Thank you so much. Let's F and go. Curious Cat, gifted the cookie. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Trusty Turnip. Patty B, what's up? Who else is here? Who else I see? Trump won. Hey, how you doing? Much love. Yes. How you feeling? Are you feeling better? Quantum Respawn, how you doing? Has anybody seen Sausage Launcher? Tell him I said what's up. I mean, I haven't talked to him. I hope he's doing okay. Hello, everybody over here. Tracer C4 on Rumble, MG615, Blue Devillion Man, what's up? Hey, how was your weekend? We were also on YouTube, so you can reach out to me. Here's the chat on the screen. You want to enjoy that. Tonight's show, and we're going to get into it's a little bit heavy. I'm going to try and keep my blood pressure down. I'm not drinking the cappuccinos and the espressos anymore. So I can tell you what I saw this weekend and what I'm watching and what I'm seeing really makes me angry. It really makes me frustrated that there's been a co-optimization, I believe, that's happening all over the place. There are people trying to define positions or slots in the MAGA tent that if you are not this, you cannot be here. And if you're this, you're not that, and vice versa. And I find it very disgusting. And I think it's only going to get worse. What's up, True Terran? Greens and salutations. Sunday sound bites. Will dissenting narratives undermine the America First-Fealty test of MAGA or embolden it? It's something to think about because, look, Gallup polls in 2025 had indicated 65% Republicans see MAGA as essential to true conservatism, as everything down the line. But is it really true conservatism, or is it just another form, a way of doing business? If you read Agenda 47 and understand Trump's plan and stuff, and go back to that and understand what those are, those tenets, then you'll understand what the MAGA movement is all about. And that's a 30% increase from 2017. So again, how big will this tent be? In 2021, Trump's CPAC speech, listen to this, demand an allegiance, and the RNC purged many dissenters by 2022 midterms. About 90% of all GOP primaries that were heavily favored, that were MAGA-based candidates that were positioned by Ballotpedia data. So basically, they were in that position. They were already ready to go. We didn't get the integration, the incorporation, the assimilation per se, but something happened along the way, and we're going to get into it tonight. Like, share, and subscribe. Always subscribe. Hit the bell to notify when we're going live, especially over here on YouTube, which we're trying to increase that platform. If you want to tip, donate, you want to help us out with the gold pills, Rumble Rants, buymeacoffee.com/wearerise. Mods can drop it in the chat. That would be fantastic. Let me read you a couple of things tonight. I want to interact with the chat. I don't want to be so much. No, Marshall's not here on Sundays. This is just Brett Collins. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Marshall will be around. He might be in the chat over there on YouTube or what have you. So I just want to get to the discussion of what's happening. So the RGC, the Republican Jewish Conference, had a whole thing with a lot of public speakers, and there's been a lot of arrows, slings and arrows that were thrown at many different people that are, that do these platforms, that do these podcasts, and they're attacking people like they have some, like, let's just say, moniker control. It was like dumpster diving for shekels. It was embarrassing what I was seeing. And what I heard was hate filled. I never saw that. Can't be MAGA. That can't be MAGA. Yeah, it's MIGA, MIGA. Yeah, MAGA, or America First MAGA. Yeah, I know. And that's the point of the co-optimization. Let me read you this. There's some thoughts I want to say out here before we get started. How much tribal loyalty and fealty Trump and MAGA will outweigh the grievance entrepreneurs? That's what I call these people, grievance entrepreneurs that are filling the vacuous state left behind by the murder of Charlie Kirk. The influencer movement has continuously been a double-edged sword for MAGA. While the attempts to keep the America First and only First agenda alive and thriving, the battle that rages on and within for a collective personification inside the influencer sphere has been met with self-sabotage, subversion, and with the entrails of what should have been left behind, the woke tenets of racism and bigotry. This is the moral relativism of anything goes. And I believe so. Anything goes now. The storyline you hear constantly, ICE, Israel, isolationism, immigration, etc., continue to envelop the MAGA base. As we move off the post-liberal agenda, the global homo agenda, within the movement lie a bunch of charlatans, imposters, double dealers, and hypocrites. All are armed with the objective to undercut the base, disunite the supporters, and sow dissension and discord. And it's happening. It's happening right before your eyes. You have to consider that. You have to understand what is taking place. I think most people right now would get a look at this because we have to really get control back, and we cannot continue to fight amongst each other. I think it's time that we have to take a step back and realize it's a big tent, and there's going to be a lot of people that have their differences, have their points of view. But I think in some way, we have to reconsider what we think is MAGA and what is MIGA. And I think that is Make Israel Great Again versus what Make America Great Again is. And that is the cultural divide that we're starting to see. The RGC, which I'm going to play you some clips on it. Mark Levin, Randy Fine, he's the congressman from Melbourne, Florida, Ted Cruz, and Lady Graham. And the rest of that ilk, vile, putrid, rancid, corrupt, decayed malcontents have more in common with violent leftist rhetoric of progressives than MAGA. Get in line, toe the line, or we will end you. That's all the bagel talk. That's all the bagel talk. You are witnessing the collapse, the ruin, the self-sabotage of the extremist side to the Rhino Cuck Republican War Party. That's it. That's the demise. That's what's left of the Rhino Cuck demonic party. Part of it is basically still that war party, that Bush party. Israel, United States, go to war. Let's just dominate as many countries as they can. We will demonetize you. We will debank you. We will deplatform you with any commentary that is not regulated, that we deem anti-Semitic. Or not, we will censor you and even unalive you. That was how they spoke about Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes, and then just going on this diatribe of attacking many people who do podcasts. Say they're basement people. They hide behind these weird names and these monikers, and they talk about Q and all these different things they said. These people are going to eat and consume their own very soon. It's a dead man's party, and you better step out of the way because they're going to leave their body and their soul at the door. Trust me on this. Because look, this pig slop talk that we've listened to that continues on is not only insulting and infuriating. I think that we are portrayed by those who don't live it and breathe it like we see it. They don't. And who's to say who is and is not? Tucker Carlson making his points about what the MAGA tenets are is fine. I understand where there's at. Is he the face of it? No, he's not. He's just one person inside this many faces of this long, let's just say, protracted tent. And I think it's expansive. But the problem is there are many people that have, let's say, ponied for position, jostled or jockeyed their way into position to fill the vacuous void of Charlie Kirk, are stepping over themselves in some way to gain notoriety, to gain some type of affection in some way, to get their point across and to sell a narrative. And that narrative may be not what you want to hear, maybe not what you want to see, and maybe completely it's bullshit. And I think something we got to consider. I want to show you this because we need to guard ourselves because what's going on. Axios put this out today. And I hope that you understand where I'm going with this, because Axios is basically saying right now, from what we see and what we understand, what is taking place, what had happened, okay, just recently, which was, I think, Saturday night at the RGC. Let me just get out of this right now. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Let me get back to this and stuff. This is where it's at. President Trump's MAGA movement is increasingly at war with itself. The central issue, a purity test over MAGA inclusion. Why it matters? The MAGA fight, ignited by ideological differences over Israel, pulls a lot of isms: nativism, anti-Semitism, racism, sexism, and Trumpism. This is all a live, consuming debate among powerful MAGA stars with megaphones, and it's really important, and it's going to determine how powerful a strand those isms will be in the future for MAGA and therefore Republicanism. Yeah. So for now, MAGA is being held together by Trump's personality. Yes, yes, and no. But see, what they're doing is they're placating on your heartstrings, because we all voted for President Trump multiple times. We're going to vote for him again, a fourth term. I mean, let's face it, we are. And we'll get to the idea of the discussion about what I talked about, the 22nd Amendment, and how the 22nd Amendment is undercutting and I think not delivering an honest sense of urgency that we should be afforded the opportunity to vote for who we want to, and we're not. We're given a set of rules by the Republican Party, Democrat Party. You could see that in President Trump's first term, where Mike Pence was forced upon his presidency. U.S. support for Israel's operations in Gaza inflamed America's first diehards and hardened Israel's MAGA allies. The online divisions have raged during the tenuous ceasefire, including tropes over Jews. Supposed disproportionate influence in the U.S. A leaked group chat from the New York State Republicans included racist comments and messages from Trump administration nominee declaring he had a Nazi streak. The revelation sparked debates over who, if any, should be canceled from MAGA. See, that's the point. When did we become this party where we were debanked, deplatformed, demonetized, and now everybody is getting their channels back on YouTube? A lot of people are embracing back what was stolen from them from 5 years ago. And I applaud all those people who are getting their channels back. And I think it's fantastic. And then we're just coming out of this. And now this is being thrown out there because you're starting to see the self-immolation of certain groups of people inside this big tent who want to co-opt it in such a way to move people out, like Tucker or other people that are in there that speak the truth about a lot of things that a lot of people don't want to hear about. So a movement rooted in railing against people getting canceled by political correctness is now tied in knots over its membership. The dynamic was clear this week when white nationalist Nick Fuentes appeared in Tucker Carlson for an ambiguous 2-hour interview. Critics blasted Carlson for platforming Fuentes' Holocaust denier, who on Carlson's podcast referred to an organized jury. Allies of the Turning Point USA, the group founded by the late Charlie Kirk and embraced Trump and Vice President Vance, were particularly blunt in hammering Carlson. They noted that the Kirk befriended Carlson, but sought to distance MAGA from Fuentes. What they're saying, within MAGA, the battle lines are being drawn over how supportive Trump followers should be, or how skeptical they should be of foreign entanglements. Laura Loomer, a Trump loyalist and MAGA enforcer and a vocal Israel supporter, told Axios, "I always said you had to be a Trump loyalist and America first. But there are people out there that say, I don't belong in MAGA because I'm Jewish. That's not true." Maybe that is true for people who pretend to be MAGA. That's the point. You understand? That's where we're going with this. I'm going to continue on. One side is obviously dug in on supporting Israel. The other is berserker strategy of attacking anybody that dissents against Israel. Yep. And the other side, you got Tucker and, of course, people like the Groypers, who also have been intractable themselves in response. Fuentes added, referring to his Christian nationalist and white nationalist followers, "I think it's going to get ugly. The fight is broken out beyond the grassroots of MAGA, forcing a reckoning and the longtime GOP institutions over what rhetoric is tolerable." See, that's the key. What rhetoric is tolerable? When did it become so intolerable? Have we become so much that this hard right, this rhino cuck right, that pretends to be somehow what I call the war party of the Republican Party. Graham Cruz, Randy Fine, Mark Levin. I mean, these people haven't seen a war they didn't like. And now they're saying, we're going to come after you if you dissent about how we feel, if you support any of these people, if you have any type of trope that you want to bevy out, well, you have to run it through us. When do they become the gatekeepers and the arbiters of deciding what is and what is not MAGA? It's almost like they're doing two things: self-imploding, which they are, and also forcing people out of the tent who don't want to be in there, and that's undercutting the MAGA agenda. I see it all the time on X. Heritage Foundation president Kevin Roberts said in a video statement, which he defended Carlson, "I disagree and even abhor things that Nick Fuentes says. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to like everything he has to say. But canceling him is not the answer either." That's the point. When did we walk away from free speech? When did we become those we hate so much and revile on the left, the progressives, who've already done that to us? And now that since we walked back into our positions, what do? Do we sit there and monitor what we say? Do we gingerly walk along these rose petals, all right, without breaking anything because we don't want to what? Upset the apple cart of people out there with certain tropes or narratives that you can't talk about? When did that become the discussion under MAGA? This is the point. When we disagree with a person's thoughts, opinions, we challenge those ideas in a debate. I thought that was the whole discussion. I thought that we're allowed to have open and honest debate. Cruz shot back. He was there last night. If you sit there with someone who says Adolf Hitler was very, very cool and their mission is to combat and defeat global Jewry, and you say nothing, you're a coward. See, this is the point. Forcing you into a position without having to say anything. Why do I have to make a comment about it? Why can't I just leave it alone? Why is it that someone's entitled to their opinion and I don't want to debate it? I'll just leave it right there. But I have to go and what? I have to speak up because you are telling me, because I'm inside the MAGA tent, and since you're running the protocol in some way from the RGC or this extended war party wing of the Republican Party, that we will tell you what is anti-Semitic or not. We will regulate how and what you say. Is this what we've become? The backlash against Robert's statement also sparked reported shakeup at the Heritage Foundation. Yes, but a segment of MAGA is trying to get its combatants to lay down arms. Since Kirk's death at the hands of accused assassin who expressed left-leaning views, the movement has seen itself in an existential battle with the left over the nation's future. Some in the MAGA, and for some in MAGA, and any internal division is intolerable. Conservatives are quick to denounce each other, jump onto dog piles, disavow, attack their allies. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh wrote, after the leak of Yo Republicans group chat, the left will keep the united front and defend their guys no matter what, while we keep throwing each other to the wolves every opportunity. That's a great plan. I think that's an excellent point from Matt Walsh. Sooner says something that you don't like, you're going to bury that person under rubble and let the left eat them, all right? And then while you're sitting there chastising all of us for not commenting or supporting or saying anything, you're telling us how it's going to be going forward. Fights over Israel were bubbling before the war in Gaza and became particularly acute when Trump continued to back Israel after campaigning on disentangling the U.S. from foreign conflicts. Some in the MAGA movement are warning that once Trump leaves office, any would-be successor will prove themselves worthy of the MAGA mantle. Okay, some in the MAGA movement are warning that once Trump leaves of that, Fuentes told Access that Vance, the likely frontrunner in 2020, will be a target for Fuentes followers will be in Iowa. Okay, what's your thoughts about it? I mean, I want to hear your opinions about that. With your comments, questions, and concerns. I think that's a mouthful. I think in a lot of ways, in some way, what we're seeing is the hiccup. I think there is starting to see the self-sabotage, the subversion, and the entrails of that falling by the wayside. No longer people are going to continue on having their freedom of expression be controlled, be violated, be persecuted. And I think in this collective personification of the influencer sphere, where many people are out there are pulling you this way or that way, you should think for yourself. You should research for yourself. You should always be on the side of what you think is best, not what someone else is telling you, especially I. What I'm saying right now, the problem we're facing going forward is that where we are, you have to take a step back and realize there's many different people out there under this tent, whether it's independents, libertarians, leftists, people who left the Democrat Party that are now Republicans, Rhino War Party people, many different elements. And there's a lot of different subversion in there from many different influences that are paid from different areas and genres all across X. So be careful and be mindful about that. But that doesn't mean, okay, we can't have a conversation. We can't have a discussion. Yeah, you shouldn't be distracted by it, Trump one. You should be focused on the agenda. You should be focused on what the plan is. You should be focused on the ideas that everything that President Trump is doing, he is doing for what we voted for, okay? The Agenda 47 plan, as he's outlined and discussed, we voted for him for 3 times. I'm going to vote for him 4 times. And I don't care who's inside the tent. I just don't want those people poking me while I'm under there. Let them go and be the, the circus clown. Let them go and corral the elephants and stuff like that under this big tent. I don't want to be the Barnum and Bailey circus of these fools who I think are eventually going to drop out because they're no longer going to be captivated by the idea of what is being discussed. Now, listen to this. Here we go. I'm going to talk about a little about this. This is what took place at the RGC, and I have to tell you, it's brutal. It's brutal. It is so brutal that I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed for MAGA. What bothers me is that these people can get away with this rhetoric because they don't like the fact that someone had a discussion with somebody, a debate on a podcast, and it flew them off the rails. And now they're throwing bombs all over the place. They're calling us all. I saw Seb Gorker out there saying, you podcast people making fun of everybody. We're basement people. Really? This is an office. I mean, I find it embarrassing that this is the way the elements inside of MAGA, of the war party that still exist to this day, are allowed to act like this in some way. And Trump is just sitting back and watching them implode because he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't need to do anything. In fact, they're going to implode on their own because when you see this, you'll understand. This comes from Enrique Otero on X. If you haven't noticed already, my gripe isn't with Israel. That could be with a lot of people, okay? My sole issues have been silencing and deplatforming. That's my issue. I don't care what side of this argument you're on. That's my issue. My problem comes from any individual group, okay, that wants to silence others. And when you can't even find a bank, I'll give you an account. I'll give you an account. And when a picture of you is considered hate on meta platforms, and when you can't find a credit card processor for your business, and when you get put on the government's Quiet Skies program for supporting at POTUS, when the lawyers don't want you to take your case because of your reputational risk, because of their reputational risk, when you can't even order a fucking Uber, you will fucking understand. And don't tell me this isn't happening. It's again happening. And we're going to cancel them, deplatform them. It's called the market system. This is what Mark Levin said. This is absolutely disgraceful. This rhetoric has no place inside MAGA. I mean, clearly this is the MAGA party. I don't know what tent this guy says he's under, but for some reason, he's at this bully pulpit telling you and I, we will come after you if you dissent against us.
Hitler admirers, Stalin admirers, Jew haters, American haters, Churchill haters. You're damn right we're going to cancel them and deplatform them. It's called the market system.
Oh, the market system.
They don't have a lifetime job like a bureaucrat who we're going to protect.
So they're going to protect bureaucrats. You hear that? I'm going to play it back. They're not going to protect the American citizenry. You know, you and I, like the January 6ers. Anybody exercising their First Amendment rights. They're not going to do that. How dare you say that? But you can see how embedded they are. This is the example of what we call a rhino cock warmonger. He is an example of that party, of that George Bush era wing that is falling by the wayside, who hasn't seen a war they didn't like, who hasn't seen a war they like. They're only there to protect the bureaucrats because the rest of us are living in a basement who can't afford anything, and then we're operating off of some satellite link, and they're putting all this information out, and we're putting it in people's heads. These people are absolutely the worst. And they're showing you who they are. They really are showing you who they are. Let's play it again.
Who we're going to protect. And if they're your friend, there's something wrong with you. No Hitler admirer, Holocaust denier, platformer should be anybody's friend, as a matter of fact. You don't get to wrap your psychotic, mental, unhinged, Nazi, Klan, jihadist bullshit around American patriotism. You don't get to claim you're MAGA and America first when you're lining up with the Marxists and the Islamists and Hamas and the terrorists. That's not America first. That's sick.
I don't know who's doing that. Is anybody in the chat doing that? I know I'm not doing that. But he's saying you are because you think differently from where he stands. And since you think differently from where he stands, you must be ostracized. You must be all these things. I see you, leader. I don't care for Nick. Primarily, he projects his thoughts. It is what it is. I'm not stating one way or another. Do I like him or not? The point is he should be allowed, and he was debanked, deplatformed, demonetized. All right. He should be afforded every luxury the rest of you and I are, whether you like it or not. The left gets away with it. But we are here. Okay. But we are here where this is a part of the MAGA movement that is telling us that we can't think outside a certain purview. And if we do and we overstep our bounds, we're going to be hit. We could be unalive. Wait, I got more. It gets ugly. I think this is embarrassing. I think this right now is showing, I think, the potentiality of the divide of MAGA where part of it has to drop off, has to splinter off because it no longer is viable. It no longer communicates to the base, okay? A base that increased by 30% since 2017, and here we are right now talking about that for the very reason of what we saw of 2020 and 2021, of a stolen election, of people's lives lost, platforms destroyed. You can't even get a bank, can't get an Uber, you can't get any of these things. Are we really at this point we will eat our own and throw us under the bus? Or is it that this guy who projects Mark Levin, which he does quite a bit, thinks that he speaks for a certain group of people inside the administration? He's a Fox News pundit. And how many people like Fox News? All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're gonna silence me for not liking Fox News? I mean, it's embarrassing. I see FLL John 48. I see that you're on over on YouTube. I'm glad. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm glad people are over there. How's everybody doing tonight? Sorry, I'm off my soapbox. I'm just a little animated and stuff. Yeah, I mean, just let's hear your thoughts and stuff. Yeah, Cruz and those clowns will be voted out, and they're all MAGA diatribes will be moot. Yeah, exactly. I think the point is, what you understand is that, look, there are people that are pretending to speak for the base. They're not the base. There are influencers that are trying to collectively steal the soul of MAGA and interject themselves because they feel that there's open positions of slots to jostle and jockey for position, where Charlie Kirk, who had an effective voice, spoke to an audience between 18 and 30. The influencer movement, okay, must not be afforded one or two voices. It has to be open-ended and freely, let's just say, what? Discussed, monitored. But we don't have to come out there armed. We don't have to come out there screaming at people. If you don't like someone, block them. If you don't like what they have to say, then block them. Don't call them out to say to be deplatformed, demonetized. We know there's a lot of shady shills all over the place. I get that. Lucy Rose Petal. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for gifting the shade. Trump one gifted the cookie. Thank you so much for all being here. Let me get to the next part. I think in some way, what I'm seeing right now really bothered me because I'm very happy to see that there are people out there that are back on YouTube, There are many people that are back on YouTube. Thomas Troop reporting. I'm glad to see Zach Payne got his channel back. Scott from Woke Societies. Good people. Good, decent people who did nothing wrong, who spoke the truth, and that were penalized and persecuted. And now here we are right now, back at this moment where you have embers of this extreme far right of the war party Bush, who is obviously aligned, the RGC, with a certain state actor that is now basically telling you this is how it's going to be. And if not, we're coming for you. This is absolutely disgraceful. When did we become this bad? And this is my point. I think that's why the party is flexing. There are many people after what they heard today, I saw it on X saying, well, I guess I'm not MAGA because if Tucker isn't MAGA and he's listening to points, then I'm not. Because if I agree with him, then I'm not. See, that's the point of this. And I'm not saying that he's representative of that in any way. But to go to this far, to attack him, to call him an anti-Semite, to say, we're going to unalive you. That's what they said. We're going to do a lot more things to you. I think that's, man, what's they say, crossing the Rubicon or crossing the red line. These types of things cannot happen under us. They cannot happen under this. We could push back on a lot of different ways, but we don't have to be co-opted to such a way that I have to be forced into this position because I disagree with your point of view. And if I disagree, I should be destroyed. No, I don't mean to sound offensive, but Representative Fine, he's the congressman from Melbourne, Florida, is becoming a Nazi-level agitator. He called Tucker Carlson the most dangerous anti-Semite in America. Well, let's be honest. Randy Fine is the most dangerous member of Congress. He works for Israel, not for us. Okay.
Dark force rising on our side. Multiple speakers have talked about the rise of anti-Semitism on the right. But it is not enough to speak in platitudes or generalities about the fight. We must call evil by its name.
This is the guy who said he wants to see more dead babies in Gaza. Keep that in mind. Like I said, I'm here playing the independent role, showing you what they're trying to do to MAGA. They're co-opting it by putting this rhetoric out and saying, if you stand with these people, or if you even think along the lines of these people in any way, you're not MAGA and we're coming after you.
5 years ago, if I was talking to my father, who's watching, hi Dad, if I was talking to my father at 8:59 p.m. at night, he would say, Randy, I gotta go. Tucker Carlson's gonna be on. But make no mistake, today, Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous anti-Semite in America.
That's putting a bullseye on his back. What they're doing right now, they're putting a bullseye in his back. You know, after the death of Charlie Kirk, which you heard how the left react to his death and some of the horrible things they said, because some of the things he said and some of the things he's walked back because he wasn't really sure about this coalition with the RJC. But let me say this. If you're going to go out there and peddle these death threats, so to speak, that's what he's doing by painting him as a monster, and that what do we do to monsters? Because you can't have monsters roaming the countryside. Listen to the rest of this.
He has chosen.
Look at the signs up.
To take on the mantle of leader of a modern-day Hitler Youth, to broadcast and feature those who celebrate the Nazis, those who call for the extermination of Israel, to defend Hamas, to even criticize President Trump for stopping Iran's nuclear ambitions. Friends,
look, I didn't agree with Tucker per se, but look, Tucker Carlson is a non-interventionist. He doesn't want war. He saw what everything is done. He understood. We all don't want that. And we all believe the tenets of MAGA and Agenda 47, no more toppling regimes, no more going around countries and destabilizing like it's been done. No one's doing that. No one's even arguing that, okay? I'm not sitting here supporting it one way or another. What I'm saying is that people are entitled to have a viewpoint, and whether you like the viewpoint or not, and what do you call them, panicans or people that freak out, they can't handle and stuff like that, they shouldn't be painted a target. They shouldn't be painted a target. Yeah, that's effing crazy. S. Mattis, Tucker's good. Candace is off a rocker. Yeah, I think she is off a rocker. I mean, I don't watch it, but she's entitled to her free speech too. You just don't have to listen to her. You don't have to listen to any of these people. You could turn it off. You don't have to be forcing this. But that's not the rhetoric that's coming out from it. They're saying no matter what, if you align, if you think in some way that they're going to, again, they're calling you Nazi and fascist. They're doing the same thing the left is doing. They're boxing us in. The extreme arm of the right, the war party that says they're under MAGA at the very end, is doing the same thing as the progressive left is. Nazi, fascist. If you align, you can't even have a spirited debate with anybody. You're one of this. When does it end? This is absolutely insane. Now, I don't know what's going to come out of this, but I know in some way, two things are probably going to, let's just say, they're going to be a pushback from people who say, yeah, I don't want to be a part of MAGA anymore. This is what's going to be representative of the party. That's one. And number two, I've already seen that. And number two is that this slither of this warmonger, rhino cuck, let's just say infiltration that's there will eventually go away the dodo. I think that is the clear distinction I see. Will be separated by its own self-immolation. And they're doing a great job of doing that right now. And that's why I say right now, people are like, well, you think Trump's going to, no, Trump's not going to say anything. Why would he? Let them speak. The more these people open their mouths, man, they look horrible. And it shows what the MAGA party truly is. If you want to be a nonviolent individual, but have opinions that push back, that you don't want to take this, you shouldn't take this rhetoric at all. We've already went through this merry-go-round, not once, but twice. And now from the extreme right of the Republican Party that we're all supporting, or we're supposed to be supporting, because it's the party of free speech, the party of the Second Amendment, the party of all this stuff that they like to toe. But now it's like, no, forget about the Constitution. It's MAGA or versus MAGA now. And I think so. And I think it is representative of here this weekend.
No mistake. Tucker is not MAGA.
So a congressman from Florida, Melbourne, Florida, who got elected in that district for a lot of reasons. He's up for re-election too, because that was a special election. Hopefully you vote him out. This guy is saying, I'm going to tell you who is not MAGA. And then we're going to hold up all these signs to what? Showcase you. He's not MAGA. I'm MAGA. Look at me. Yeah, he's crazy, S. Mattis. Absolutely.
Tucker's fall from grace has been one of the most extraordinary implosions in political history. And the rapidity of it has created real challenges for us all. Because our friends don't have our shared experience. I even deal with this with my colleagues in the House. See, they remember the Tucker of 5 years ago. They don't live with anti-Semitism every day. They don't think about it the way that we do. And it's jarring for them to try to understand, how did this person become who he is today? But the challenge is he's inspired a movement of hate in our midst. And I'm not done calling.
So he's inspired a movement of hate. Wow. That's hard pressed. That's hardcore right now. This is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the divide and splinter of the MAGA party by elements of an extreme right-wing warmongering power. Cruz, Lady Graham, you should have heard his speech. He was brutal. These people just don't really care. Charlie was good friends with Tucker. I trust Tucker over everything the guy says. Absolutely. And look, I'm not here to defend Tucker per se. Tucker can make up his own mind. Let him speak the way he wants. But to come out and to say to all of us in general, because that's what Levin said, if you don't toe the line of what we are saying, all right, and what we are speaking with this bagel talk, you can no longer be a part of MAGA, and we are going to come after you. We're going to ostracize you. We're going to bury you. We're going to destroy you. It's sad. It really is sad. And I thought maybe we can get past this in some way, but I think we're going to have to go through this just a little bit more in order for this to end. And when this ends, we can probably find ourselves in a better spot if you ever want to come back to a big tent apparatus. I'm not leaving President Trump. All right. I support his agenda. I support a lot of things that he's doing. I think he's doing it mostly him alone. He's got decent people around him. I'm not running and cutting tail. All right. I believe in the movement per se. I believe in the movement, understanding that this is going to take some time. It's going to be a lot deeper. But I think we all needed to recognize that this was one way or another going to happen, and it was all on blast. So Noxie puts out here, I didn't vote to kill anyone. She says this on X. I didn't vote to have people deplatform. Neither did I. I didn't vote for social media censorship. I didn't vote for the will of the people to be silenced in favor of a foreign nation. And I'm damn sure didn't vote to protect bureaucrats. You heard the last thing that he said, Mark Levin, about protecting bureaucrats. I voted to drain the swamp of the bureaucrats, free speech for everyone, justice and transparency, no war, Americans to come first and first only. That's what Tucker speaks all the time.
Good
so I don't know why
the
that's
Republican
a problem.
Party.
Listen to
I
this.
feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing
crazy.
all the right people and we're cutting your taxes.
We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes.
You can sit in a basement
See?
with weird people and say weird things. It's a free country, right?
We're all in a basement. We're all in a basement talking weird things, not talking what? Our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, our right to say what we think and feel, whether there's consequences or not. And this guy is telling us whether you hang out with these people or not, wait till the punchline.
But if you ever run for office as a Republican and you embrace this weird shit, we're going to beat your brains out.
Wow. And so there you have it. Yep, another idiot. Now you can understand what it's like when you run for office, on how much they co-opt you. They throw it right in your face, they beat you down, and they force you. So when you run for office in these congressional, that's why they all got to go. Congress, the Senate, it's all garbage. It's one big club. You're not in it. They're all rotten. They're all corrupt. It's all got to be brought down. Because once you get there, what do? They blackmail you. They extort you. They beat you down. They do things to you in such a way that they make you capitulate. Yeah, he sounded drunk. He did sound drunk, Rudy Poo. He did sound drunk at all. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Questions, comments, or concerns. You can help us out over here on Rumble as well with buymeacoffee.com/We Arise, or you could drop us a Rumble rant. Let me continue with this. Yeah, he did sound it. He looks a little drunk. But the point is, he's letting you know. They're giving you an insight. He's telling you this is what happens. And if you in the future are one of these people that have a YouTube channel or have a Rumble channel or we're on Pilled because you're in the basement, we will find you and break you. Unbelievable. This is the dying breath of the Republican Party. This is what you see. This is the last gasp of a dying breath of a rotting corpse of a Republican Party. This makes me want to go back to being independent. It really does, because this is exactly the intolerance we can no longer take. And the only reason I'm here at this moment is for President Trump, because if he wasn't here, you know it and I know it, it would be game over. Game over. So where else is there to go? There is no other place to go. But you could still have your own position, your own lot in life, to think and feel how you want, to express your thoughts. Nevertheless and nonetheless, what these people say. This is exactly the problem we have with these people having too much power. It is embarrassing. And look, I understand. President Trump is supporting him in his primary run, or his run again for South Carolina. He's putting him on blast. This guy, all he does is out for himself. If you have an opportunity living in South Carolina when he runs again, don't vote for him. Don't vote for him. That's how you prove a point. That's your opportunity. Don't vote for him. I wouldn't.
You're damn right we're going to cancel them and deplatform them. They don't have a lifetime job like a bureaucrat who we're going to protect.
That's it.
Good about the Republican Party.
That's it. And I think a lot of people understand that right now as we're speaking. They don't understand it. It's all about protecting their corrupt institution. The media organizations, all of that. They're all in bed together working together in what? Against you. And the only person that's here that's trying to fight for you is President Trump and some of his people behind the team. You know, I think it's some way of understanding how we see this and how we move forward with this is simply as what? Just keep pressing, keep flexing, keep moving forward. Don't be curtailed by this nonsense. I think that was the most disgustingest thing I saw. And I continue to see more. And I see people leaving. They're like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. If this is what's going to be representative of MAGA, you know what? And President Trump, maybe Scavino and other people should look at this in some way. And maybe some people should address how they were speaking, because let's face it, there are people looking at this saying, it's like, man, I know I'm a decent guy or a decent gal, but let's face it, that is not representative of me. And clearly, if I speak out of turn, they'll target me and demonetize me, deplatform me, and debank me. What an absolute joke. Mark Levin demands Tucker Carlson and anyone who criticized the government of Israel be deplatformed and canceled, calls the RGC. All right, we played this, but I'll play this part. I don't think I played this, but.
AC, who've come up here and spoken to you, will do what they say they're going to do. And I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Listen to this.
For 6 months, I've been fighting these bastards, whether it's Tucker Carlson or whether it's Nick Fuentes, and I've been looking over my shoulder looking for help. And you know what I found? Nothing. Nothing. We're here today to do something about this. Now, first of all, my wife, my mother-in-law, my dear friend, Ron, Rhoda, all of you, Norm. I can't see, the lights are in my eyes. Anyway, what do you mean we don't cancel people? We canceled David Duke. Donald Trump canceled David Duke. We canceled Pat Buchanan. We canceled the John Birch Society.
Yeah, happy birthday to Pat Buchanan today.
We canceled pornography on TV. We cancel stuff all the damn time. Hitler admirers, Stalin admirers, Jew haters, American haters, Churchill haters. You're damn right we're going to cancel them and deplatform them.
So anybody with a critical thought that's opposed to their point of view will be deplatformed, debanked. And so we're looking at what? Are they going to formulate or create some type of new media matters for the right-wing party? Is that where we're going with this? I hope not. I hope this stuff is nipped in the bud. I don't know how we're going to move forward with this in some way. So let's move forward. There's a lot of narratives we'll discuss tonight, and I don't want to belabor that because it really bothers me. I got heartburn from that. So I don't know how you feel about it, but I got heartburn from it. But the plan to save the republic, here's exactly what's happening. President Trump talked about the Trump card. I'm just going to go through it. And the whole idea is about the filibuster. Trump to major syndrome, and only comes along losing too much. They want trillions of dollars to be taken out of the healthcare system, blah, blah, blah. People who have come into our country illegally, many from prisons, mental institutions. What he's saying here right now is that we hold the cards. We hold all the cards in the House, the Senate, and the Republican Party. As crazy as that sounds in such a way, all right, what we're going to get to is right now explaining the filibuster and why it needs to blow up, why it needs to be, let's just say, rectified in some way. It's now time for Republicans to play the Trump card and go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster, get rid of it now, okay? And I think most people need to understand why that is, all right? And I'm going to explain to you why and the lie that was designed. And I'm going to give you, let me show this right now. Senator Hawley, this is the key. Hold on, let me get back to this. I apologize. Let me get out of that. I don't know why it's not playing. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay. All right. So Senator Hawley says this. All right. He goes, Republicans must react to end. Why is this up here? Okay. Okay. He must react to calls to abolish the filibuster. Let me say what the filibuster. Most people don't know what the filibuster is. I think it's a good oversight. I know it's kind of wonky, but let me just say this. The filibuster is 60 votes, which is stopping Trump's agenda. Okay? In 2017, Harry Reid, the senator from Nevada, nuked the judicial filibuster, which allowed Trump in the first term to select 3 SCOTUS justices, only by 51 votes. See, right now in the Senate, the divide is what, 53-47. And you need 60 votes as a threshold to end this whole nonsense, this whole conclave that's taking place, this whole fabrication, this whole stonewalling of everything. That's why shit don't get done. That's why legislation doesn't get done. All right. And so what it is that the filibuster 6 votes will advance most of the legislation going forward and can be more dangerous than just eliminating it. That's what Trump is saying. When do we utilize that? When does he get John Thune, the senator, okay, who's the majority leader, to end this once and for all so we can move the agenda forward? When are they going to do it? They're saying that Mondavi right now on Wednesday, when he's elected, all right, as mayor of New York, that the House Democrats will decide to go ahead and move forward and open up the government for clean CR, and they were doing this for votes. Okay, that's what we're hearing. Scott Pacent was saying something like that. Whatever. I don't base any word of any of these people because, in fact, why should you believe them? Their interest is not your interest. Okay, so the legislation going forward can be more dangerous than just eliminating. It allows 41 senators from small, unrepresentative states to block broadly supporting bills. Think about that. You have 41 senators from small states that are unrepresented in any way that blocks these bills. It amplifies minority rule. It turns into a super minority veto power, undermining a majority rule. Why? It rewards obstructionism, not deal making. It erodes the trust in the government and the governments. Nothing gets accomplished. It protects the status quo environment and keeps the playing field even until it doesn't. Think about that. It works against the base, too, to placate with extremist posturing, like we're seeing right now. Not sincere, not impressive behavior. Think about what that is. Oh, my God, all these people are going to starve because they didn't get their SNAP programs, when we know that 43 million and 0.2 is all grift and graft. Most of it's illegals, people not working, you name it. Okay? That is the super minority that is operating at this moment. And President Trump is saying, just go ahead, issue the Trump card, kill the filibuster, and let's move the agenda forward. If we move the agenda forward, then everything will be passed at a simple majority of 51 votes, not a plurality where you just get the most votes. A simple majority at 51, and we already have the votes. That's if, Lady Graham or Rand Paul, who's another rhino cuck, or Susan Collins, or many other people that are out there that will, Mitch McConnell, that will block this in any way. But you give them the opportunity to move forward, at least moving this. Well, what they're concerned about, the Republicans are concerned about in some way, is that, look, if we play this and we lose power in the House or the White House or what have you in the Senate, they're going to come back 3 times. They're going to do it anyway. See, this is why President Trump is like, what are you doing? They're going to do this anyway. You might as well do it to them now and then crush them, move the agenda forward, and then what? We'll pick up the pieces later. It's time we move forward. We have the majority. We have 3 levels of a branch of government, all being controlled by Republicans. But again, these are squishy people. These are the people that you saw that were standing next to Mark Levin, Ted Cruz, Lady Graham, that are basically saying, you're not MAGA. Of course they're not going to support it because they don't like you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about anything. They just want your vote. And then when they get in power, all right, they're beaten down so hard, forced into submission between blackmail, extortion, and what have you, all right? And then what happens? They stay there in power because you know what? They're going ahead and voting the same timeline with everybody else. And that's why nothing gets done. Republican senators react to calls to abolish the filibuster. And I give it to Josh Hawley, Fox News, Sean Hannity, Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri. Here's the other thing I'd say. If Democrats aren't willing to negotiate, we can't get anywhere on this. We're going to think about changing the rules in the Senate because at the end of the day, we cannot allow the government to remain permanently closed. The military not paid, needy families go hungry, and all because we have to get 60 votes and the Democrats won't give it to us. I mean, it's absolutely breathtaking right now. All you have to do is end the filibuster, change the rules, fix this, what they call a cloture. You fix this, change the rules, all right, and then move forward. But why don't you just end this right now? They could do it, but they choose not to because they're scared this is going to come back and bite them like they tried to do, and they realized how it hurt Harry Reid and the Democrats back in 2013 when President Trump became president in 2017. Because that cloture vote was only 51, and they did that during the judicial filibuster. And they realized how reckless that was. And this is all payback. So Clay Higgins from Louisiana, in a letter sent this week to Majority Leader Thune, said, request the Republican leader suspend the cloture vote in order to bring up the bill on the Senate floor. It's all wonky. The Louisiana congressman addressed some political apprehension about the move, writing, suspending the cloture rule to end this shutdown is not nuclear. It's just smart. If the cloture rule is waived or amended, Republicans can bring the House continuing resolution to the Senate floor, pass it by simple majority, and open the government. See, he's saying, look, it would be simpler just to do this and then, except for blow the whole thing up. That's what he's saying. Bring it to the floor. Let's vote on it. We can pass it, and then we can move everything forward without making this thing bigger than what it is. We're not going to eliminate the filibuster. The votes aren't there. Without it, we could see efforts to add Puerto Rico, D.C. as states to gain more Democrat seats, potentially pack the Supreme Court, and secure permanent liberal majority. Ending the filibuster would threaten America as we know it today, as Tim Scott said. So there are many rhino Republicans that are in there that feel in some way that they have to keep playing, keep this field at an even keel, and not upset the apple cart, not rock the boat into some way because they are in fear of what could happen in retaliation. But you know what? What more at this moment can they not do? You're just standing idly by and allowing them to run roughshod off you and continue the super minority nonsense. The super minority nonsense has to come to an end. How is it that you have power in the Senate, but you choose not to use it? This is not because they choose not to do it. They're doing it because of what? Because President Trump's there. Keep that in mind. They're not MAGA. These are rhino cucks. Many individual people inside the Senate are rhino cucks. They're no different from Levin, no different from Lady Graham or Ted Cruz. They roll along those lines. There may be some decent rolling apples across the floor, but that's about it. I mean, look at Rand Paul. Every opportunity he has, okay, unless it has to do with Dr. Fauci, he's blocking President Trump. You can't do this, you can't do that. They're not supporting President Trump. They're holding back his administration, his agenda for a reason, and it's not for you. They're waiting him out. That's the point. I hope everybody understands that going forward. Let's say hello over here. Trump one gift of the cookie. Good to see you. Thank you so much. What's up, Boneless Chicken? How you doing? Good to see you. Who else is over here? Blue Division Man, Alita. Who else? Nah, Dog. What's going on? Can't stand Mark Levin. The more you actually hear the words he speaks, the worse it gets. That's a good point. That's a very good illustration and stuff. If you were on YouTube, we're on YouTube as we speak. You can subscribe over there to your comments, questions, concerns. You can help out the channel if you want. Let's move forward and stuff because I don't want to leave this just to this. I have more stuff to go, and I want to go into other topics that need to be discussed that I think that were overlooked. Let's hear your thoughts about this. I mean, everybody's kind of quiet tonight. I don't know why. Did you have a wild weekend on Friday for Halloween? Was everybody going crazy on Halloween? I mean, I know I was doing a show, so I didn't go anywhere. I was home doing a show, smoked a cigar, and I went to bed. So I mean, that's me. So there you go. That's what. This is really me. But that's how I feel. Anyway, here we go. This comes from Champagne Josh. This is how someone who's guilty reacts to a question about their guilt. I sincerely hope this man spends the rest of his life in prison, but seriously doubt that he's going to happen. Listen to John Brennan here.
There was an email that went around from General Clapper to yourself and Hayden. I'm sorry, not Hayden.
That's right.
Yourself and Comey, etc., that basically said we all got to get on board with this, otherwise it isn't going to work, basically. And I think that email puts everybody in the crosshairs. I would like to hear what your justification was for supporting the dossier that was known to be false being used as source material in the second ICA.
I don't know who put you up to this.
Nobody put me up to this, sir. I'm here on my
I don't know
own.
what role you played or who you are, but it's a bunch of bullshit that you just passed on.
The
And look, they're clapping for this guy. They're clapping for Brennan.
emails are clear. The second question
They're clapping for him.
is the
Let's give it up for him.
Look,
They're clapping.
look, we can talk about it. Talk about it in the recess.
Go away. So you didn't want to listen.
No, we didn't say that. Get your facts straight.
was likely Russian disinformation.
No, we did not. We said it.
You did.
No.
In that memo,
Read
it
the
says
letter.
that
I'm
you
ignoring
signed
it. Okay.
And I just like, I know I'm gonna get uninvited.
Yeah.
It'll be after hours.
No, you're done.
Come on, all right, we're gonna go over here.
This is
Let's go
disinformation.
over here for a question. Thank you.
Good evening.
Oh, this is different. Disinformation. Did you hear it? He's done. Is he done? Are we censoring that guy for speaking the truth? My God. I mean, how much does this have to continue on? I mean, it's embarrassing that we go through this every single time. But look, eventually, I think that Comey, Brennan, Clapper's cooperating. I think eventually that these guys are all going to go down, and then Obama will fall by the wayside from them because they all will turn on him in some way. So I mean, that's the drum roll. There you go. And I think that. Thank you, Thea, for the shades. Let's move on. We got more to go here. I didn't want to go too much of this, but this is what we talked about on Wednesday, and I just want to give you a brief. This is a professor. He put a long thing out there. It's David Clements on X, and I watched the whole thing. The thing is just too long, but I wanted to show you this because I covered this the other day, and it's weird that I covered this the other day, and I started to see people pop up, and then I said the argument about, the counterproductive argument about the Republic. Listen to this.
It goes, bereft of a solution, I had been granted the gift of a problem. This problem is the latest I desire to solve, not without reservation. Tonight, I write not as a professor, not as a lawyer, but as a witness. What follows is the anatomy of a possibility, how Trump could return to the Oval Office again, not from conspiracy, but from the slow, deliberate reassertion of the people's will.
See that?
Or from the quiet activation of plans already in motion. I walk through every path to Trump's next presidency. I show the mechanics, the obstacles, the failure points. No slogans, no theatrics, just the gears.
And you go watch him on Substack. Go watch the whole thing. Patty B says, I love Professor Clements. Such a class act. It was really good. Yeah, no, dog. Yeah. Oh, on Badlands he was on. Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw that on X that pastor was questioning him stuff. Yes, I saw that. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, no, I see that. I got you. No, it's the argument that I was saying, that I was bringing forth, that what he's trying to address right now. And he addresses it on a multi-tiered level. He's discussing that, talks about President Trump becoming the VP candidate for whoever's going to be the candidate in 2028, and then that person stepping down. He goes into that. All right. But he goes into a diatribe, something I talked about, and I was kind of shocked. If you go listen to what he said, it's almost similar to what I was thinking. Is it counterproductive to a republic, a democracy, to prevent Americans from electing the person they want to be president? The 22nd Amendment in itself binds the hands of the American electorate. It never did before up until 1951. The question will be, will we be able to ratify it? He talks about a long line of possibilities depending on where our future lies come that time period. That you'll need 3/4 of this of the country, 2/3 of the House and the Senate. That's he's like, that's a lot of votes. It's like 230, 240 votes. He goes through that diatribe. But he does make an excellent point in some way. Why should we allow the 22nd Amendment, to control us, to hamper us from moving forward in choosing a president who wants to do a third term? He also argues the same thing, and I said that we talked about, where the two terms that are separated under the 22nd Amendment, it gives you 2 more years. Will that be the same thing? Very interesting. I really found that this guy's a lot smarter than me, but clearly what he was saying, he's always making the argument that even what Bannon is saying, they're actually talking with people, communicating with people, how to do an end around to this. How are they going to get this? Are they just throwing this out there as blather and nonsense? Or is this really in the works? You know what? It just makes me think that, just because it's out there doesn't mean it's not true. That's why I was saying that, look, we should be patient about how this is going to fold. We still got 3.5 more years. He's 9 months into his presidency. Let's enjoy the time while he's here, regardless of what's going to happen come 2028. But I can tell you right now, as for this Rhino Cuck party that we see that is under the umbrella tent of MAGA, is being weeded out in some way. So if you're going to have people that are going to be like Cruz and all these other people in there that are in the House, they're not going. Anybody who's going to run can't be one of those people. As much as I like, you could say you could like Vance and Rubio and all these people and stuff. They can have that big R next to them. The question is, how is that going to work? Are they going to run? They might not run. Is there other people in play? You just don't know. I don't think you know. I don't think, at this point, I don't want to know. I want to see it happen and unfold as the primary goes. But Mark Levin talked about that. He talked about the seriousness of this. He was mentioning that because he was concerned about what Fuentes said. He's like, if J.D. Vance runs, the Groypers will be there the whole time. See, that's what they're concerned. They're concerned about their threat because they think that in some way he's got a big R next to him too. Now, however you look at J.D. Vance, he's smooth. He's quick on his feet. He knows exactly what to say. Whatever you think about everything else will unfold one way or another. And I'll leave it there because I'm not going to go into a tailspin about that because it's neither here or there these days. Okay, Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan this weekend. Watched the whole thing. Fantastic. I don't watch all Joe Rogan podcasts. I don't. But when someone's on there like Elon Musk, who's just like whatever, and then he's just basically just dropping stuff left and right. I mean, he go back and watch that. If you can, it's like 3 hours, almost 2.5. It was fantastic. And basically he answers every question of like, what happened to Doge? What's going on here with this shutdown? Why is this taking place? All these different nuggets. He's talking about other things about what's happening inside our government, what's going on behind the government. Let's listen to this.
So then the rebuttal from the Dems is like, oh, well, the vast majority of the people who are marked as live in the Social Security Administration weren't receiving Social Security Administration payments. That is true. What they forgot to mention is they're getting fraudulent payments from every other government program. And that's why the Dems were so opposed to turning off, to declaring someone dead who was dead, because it would stop the entire all the other fraud from happening.
And so, but all this, is it trackable? Like all this other fraud,
it's
if
totally
they
trackable.
wanted to, they could chase it all down.
Yeah, it's not even hard.
And yet they're opposing chasing it all down.
They're opposing chasing it all down because it turns off the money magnet for the illegals.
Wow.
Because it's very logical to like I'm saying the most common sense things possible. If someone's got a birthday in Social Security that is an impossible birthday, meaning they are older than the oldest living American or were born in the future, then you should call them and say, excuse me, we seem to have your birthday wrong because it says that you're 200 years old. That's all you need to do. And
then you would remove them from the Social Security database and make that number no longer available for all those other government payments.
Exactly.
Wow. And how much money are we talking?
It's hundreds of billions of dollars.
And this is all traceable. Like you could hunt all this down.
Like you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes here, is what I'm saying.
Well,
we don't need to call Sherlock Holmes for this one.
Is this part of
the... We just need to call the person and say, excuse me, we seem to have the... we must have your birthday wrong because it says you're 200 years old or were born in the future. So could you tell us what your birthday is? That's all you need to do. It's that simple.
But all these other government payments that are available that are connected to this Social Security number, it seems like if you just chased that all down,
Yeah.
you would find the widespread fraud. You would find where it's going.
Yes, but the root of the problem is the Social Security Administration database, because the Social Security number in the United States is used as a de facto national ID number. You know, that's why, like, the bank always asks for your social. So, like, any financial institution will ask for your Social Security number.
It sounds so insane that this isn't chased down. I mean,
I agree.
That in and of itself that's such mishandling.
Yes. No, it's mind blowing. So yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
It's because it's done on purpose. That's what he was trying to allude to. And this is part of the reason why the government shut down and they're pissed off. We know that the Biden administration gave out, 8,000 Social Security cards to illegals out there. And some of them were terrorists, per se. That's what we're finding out. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. Would you say dropping 417 gold pills support the stream? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Thea, for the shades. I see. I'm reading your comments over here. I'm just reading everything that what people are saying and stuff. Everything about Clements. Yeah, go back and watch it. Highly, let's just put it this way. I was very enthralled watching it and listening to it because I think he makes several good points regarding how we dispose of the 22nd Amendment. How do we do an end around of this? And then by the time we get to a certain, let's just say, after the 2026 election, we'll understand how many more seats we have in the House, and then we'll able to get to that 2/3 scenario. But it's really about the majorities of the legislation of these states that will be the most impactful. And can you get the 38 states to sign off in ratifying the 22nd Amendment? It may be plausible that people want him that bad. But again, we'll have to see, because a lot of these state legislatures are still enveloped with rhino cucks all over the place. So Nigerian leaders caught off balance as Trump threatens over Christian killings. Again, more Christian killings all over the place. President Trump said he came out swinging. We're going to light him up. President Trump said on Saturday that he instructed his Defense Department to get ready for military action in Nigeria, most populous country, if his government does not take action. He also said the U.S. government will stop all the assistance aid to Africa, the top oil producer. Interesting. I hereby instructing our government, the Department of War, to prepare for possible action. He wrote, if we attack, it'll be fast, vicious, and sweet. Wow. Trump's Nigeria post on Saturday was a rapid escalation from what he had posted on Friday. West African nation was being added to the State Department's country, and a particular concern sorry. Where'd it go? Oh, let me get back. Let me get out of this and get back. I got more of that. Sorry. I don't know. It might have kicked me out. Okay. Got these articles. All right, let me see. All right. There was more to this too, because the Biden administration took off all the, let's just say there's certain provisions and restrictions the Nigerian government had in dealing with Christians over there and protecting them and giving them an opportunity to do what they need to do over there. And the Biden administration waived that. So it allowed for this to happen. So Trump's post on Saturday, rapid escalation. The characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality. President Bola Tinubu said on social media after Trump's post, he's requested a meeting at the White House with President Trump. He's concerned that they're going to go in there and clean house. Religious freedom and tolerance have been a core tenet of our collective identity and shall always remain so, he added. So I think in some way what President Trump is trying to do is force them into submission to reevaluate their position about doing this instead of sending troops in there to kill them. President Trump doesn't want to do it, but if he has to do it, he will do it. And I think that's it. Great another war. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so funny. You got what's going on in Venezuela. 16,000 troops are stationed there. All we're doing is blowing up boats. We don't know what's taking place there. There's a lot of heavy fire over there. I mean, is what they said a third of the Navy's over there. It's insane. So we don't know what's really transpiring in Venezuela per se. We know it might have to do with China, might have to do with other things, with the narco-terrorism, might do with child trafficking. It could be a whole host of things. I don't think we know what's going on there per se. But if we're not regime toppling, as President Trump said, we're not doing that, then what are we doing there? You know what I'm saying? If we're not hitting them in the military installations and taking out these fortified areas that are, let's just say, nestled with cartels and drugs, what are we doing there? I mean, like Tucker said, he made a comment, and we covered it on Friday, saying, well, Maduro's, government doesn't allow gay marriage, doesn't allow trans, and all this other socially, cultural, moral relativism nonsense out there. Okay. So deposing would be he was using that as an argument of deposing would be bad. Listen, I disagree with that argument completely. Again, but we don't know what's really behind there. There has been a lot of subterfuge of people talking about that Maduro and Biden had a deal, and a lot of this led to the trafficking. We have terrorists inside our country from this. We have other things that were flowing through. We don't know. We really don't know. I mean, people say they know, but what do you really know? I think there's a massive China influence there. Are we trying? Is this just pressure through dominance? Is this peace through dominance in some way? Are we just showing force so they will change hands? Will he resign? Will he go into exile without having regime change? What is in place? The CIA's there. What's going on with them? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think we're purposely led astray on this because I think it's much more, let's just say, it's not a show of force. I don't think it's a show of force per se. I think it's something more than that. And I think that what it is that we're basically showing the rest of the world that our southern hemisphere will not be invaded, will not be attacked, will be controlled, will be monitored. Okay, that you will not be able to come in there and seize up all the oil and gas and all these other natural rare earth elements and steal them for drugs. I think that's part of the reason. China's there. I know Russia has a hand in that, but like again, there's very limited information of understanding what's truly taking place. We heard Machado, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, has come out and said, "Yeah, absolutely, depose him, topple him, and stuff like that." Well, who fills the vacuum? Who is the person? Is that woman who won the Peace Prize? Is she going to take over that position? Is it going to be one of his generals? I mean, look at the old boss, same as the new boss, or look at the old boss, same as the new boss, same discussion. Is that where we're going with this? I'm not really sure, but I think a lot of people again are head scratching, thinking what's taking place down there. And I would be hesitant to say that we're just sealing up our southern hemisphere. There might be other things that are taking place we haven't even thought about. Think about that. There might be something else that's going on down there that we don't really know about. Let's just think about the trafficking in general, human trafficking, all that other stuff that's taking place and stuff. I mean, you got Puerto Rico, the Caribbean islands, you got all these different areas that are very close. You got Trinidad, Tobago. I mean, you got a lot of different regions of these countries that are over there. We don't know what's happening. And are they running interference from all this stuff? I know that Venezuela cut off oil and gas to Trinidad and Tobago because they let them stay. They let one of the carriers or ships stay in their port. Same thing with, Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico is under our domain. So something else is there. Were there possibility of Chinese operations that were going on there in our southern hemisphere in our back door? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the discussion that President Trump was having with Xi about all this stuff. Why is he creating a backdoor channel line, a bat phone with Xi? He's saying we're gonna have a military line to stave off any problems and stuff. The military is going to connect that, and so we can speak to each other in case our lines get crossed. That's in regard to Taiwan. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Again, things we just don't know about, but we sit here and we presume quite a bit. So this happened. I saw this. Pepe Deluxe put this out. This was funny. So on Dan's Facebook, Dan Scavino Jr., thank you, South Park. While you assholes think you're mocking my weight, I've lost 40 pounds this year. You stupid SOBs just don't get it. We're used to it after 10 years, and the skin is thick. Nothing Nothing phases us. Nothing keeps it coming. Just nothing. Keep it coming. Just means we're over the target and getting stronger every day that passes. Badge of honor, MAGA. I guess there's a whole fight that's going on with South Park. I mean, they're attacking Trump, Melania, Marco Rubio, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. They basically had they painted up the face of the AG secretary as a brown noser with shit on it. I mean, they're just whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's comedy. I'm okay with it, and I think people have a right to express themselves, and it is what it is. If you want to watch it, that's great. If you don't, but I think it's comical in some way that he, let's just say, clap back at them. I think that was funny. I think that was too. Thank you, Thea, for the 900 gold pills. Okay, this is something I want to discuss. We had this. We talked about this on the show the other, and I did a whole thing about them crossing a line with utilizing Reagan's, montage and speak regarding tariffs and talking about tariffs, and they were splicing it and editing it without the approval of the Reagan Library. And so here we go. Trump says Canadian Prime Minister apologized for Ontario government anti-tariff featured Reagan. So we'll go on to this and stuff. He says President Donald Trump said Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, apologized using comments for Ronald Reagan about free trade in message opposing tariffs. The ad released on Tuesday, October 14th, drew criticism from Reagan Foundation for what he called misleading the use of Reagan's words. Misleading? That's an understatement. They cut and spliced at least a good, I'd say, almost a minute of it. I'd say like close to a minute. Trump described the ad as fraudulent and fake and said he suspended trade discussions with Canada as a result. Ontario Premier Ford later paused the campaign after an ad during the World Series. And you know what? The Blue Jays lost, and good for them. You want to hear something else about this? I was talking to somebody someone sent me the thing about the betting. You remember, because I say these games are rigged and stuff. So the last two games, the Dodgers have been a most potent team for the last 15 years. They were under 150 in both those games. Last night's game, under 150, meaning the payout wouldn't be nothing higher than 150 if you were to bet on it. So if it's 2-1 odds, whatever you're going to bet on and stuff, that the payout wouldn't be higher than 150. And they won that game. Would they win in extra innings, I believe? And I think that was funny in some way because I was having this back and forth and stuff. And I'm like, wouldn't it be great if they did win? And now Premier Ford has to walk it back and apologize. And then he's going to say something to Trump. But man, oh man, Trump described the fraudulent fake and said he suspended trade with Canada. Ontario Premier Doug Ford later paused the campaign after an ad during the World Series. Trump also noted the positive relationship with Carney, pointing out dinner. They shared an Asia-Pacific economic cooperation zone, but asserted the use of Reagan's remarks were inappropriate. Well, I mean, look, Scott Bessent goes on CNN. He was on Fox News. And he said, look, the bottom line about all this stuff, this is election interference. You're meddling in what? On November 5th, November 6th, we're going to get to the ruling. I'm going to cover it tonight because this goes into it. The Supreme Court is going to take up the tariff debate. I think this is important. We need to discuss this because this is probably going to be the most consequential, impactful argument that President Trump and his administration are weighing on. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie. Let me continue with this. Trump warned Supreme Court against blocking his tariffs. He goes in. The Senate did the same thing. And the whole point and premise, let's just say even the predicate of why Canada did what they did was to interfere with this. Is it election interference? Could be, yeah. Is it economic warfare? Yeah. Was it interfere with this in some way? Absolutely it was. And now that he publicly apologized in some way, does this change the parameters? Let me just say something right now. Look, in these types of foreign affairs, usually the majority of the court, in this case it's 6-3, defers to the executive on these things. So is there going to be a narrow ruling? 5-4? What's your odds on percentage that they say no? Is there a 15 to 25% chance that they don't do this? And they dissent upon this and they vote no? Plaintiffs seek a ruling from this court would effectively disarm President Trump in the highly competitive arena of international trade. Let me tell you, in international trade, courts in international trade have its own jurisdiction. Okay. So the words are a battle cry for the Trump administration as it fights to preserve Liberation Day tariffs. All right. So here it is. International emergency economic powers overstep his authority. The Washington Examiner reported at the heart of the showdown, the Trump administration defending its trade and foreign policy muscle, and opponents argue that president is trampling on Congress's constitutional taxing powers. Congress is shut down, so they have no powers here. The tariffs target nations like Canada, Mexico, China, which the Senate, by the way, if most people don't realize, just voted recently. The Senate just voted 52 to 48 about Canada and also about all President Trump's tariffs to send back to the House that to vote them no, to cancel them. Of course, it's going to die in the House. It'll never even get to the doorstep. However, that wasn't even on the revelation. Listen to this. The administration's enacted an IEEAP, which has already shaped this. And what it is that this is the argument. It's an Economic Emergency Powers Act. This is over fentanyl and all these other things. Their bargaining chip is a framework that deals with European Union, United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, and China. All the deals he just made in the last several months. He just came back from South Korea, Japan, and China. The DOJ insists that these tariffs are vital to addressing declared emergencies. The plaintiffs argue would unwind trade agreements worth trillions of dollars. DOJ argued in its brief, emphasizing how Trump has turned the IEEAP tariffs into negotiated wins for global heavyweights. It underscores the administration's stance that stripping these powers would cripple the U.S. negotiating strength. Absolutely, it would cripple the administration. Now, the question is, what is the likelihood? I give it like, 15, 20% possibility, probability that they vote no in favor. So I think it's going to be most likely, if I had to guess, it'll be a 5-4 majority. And there'll be some dissenting opinions. The majority opinion will probably come from the most conservative out there. This case is the first major test for the policy against the Supreme Court in his return to office in January. The Trump administration filed a reply brief defending the tariffs as unlawful under 1977 IEEAPA, claiming these are essential to combat trade deficits. It's a stark warning of what's at stake if the tariffs are overturned. Yeah, I mean, should we be concerned about it? Are you about 78% of all of Trump's, let's just say, all of Trump's rulings in the Supreme Court have gone his way in a 6-3 or higher favor. So he's doing pretty well there. But this is a very serious thing, and that a lot of people are kind of just like quietly under the table. Are they worried? Can they be worried? Is there a persuasive argument to shoot this down now that the Senate just passed this? Because they might even bring up the defense of that and say, because the federal court shot this down and say, hey, look, the Senate brought this up. It's not going to pass in the House. It's not even going to reach the House. So what's the problem? So again, they're interfering with this president's prerogative to run economic policy. That's it. Plain and simple. It's in Article 2. It's what he's allowed to do. Again, they are hampering President Trump. They are tying his hands behind his back. This is why the filibuster, why we're discussing that. What are they doing? Behind the scenes, they're not opening the government. They're passing bills to shoot down the tariffs. They're getting Rand Paul, Murkowski, Collins, always to vote. Let's just do that while we can, just so we can get that out there and see what happens. Nothing's going to happen. The House is not going to take it up. But anyway, this is the point: this is all in, and let's just put it this way, in reflection of what is going to take place on Wednesday. This is serious. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. You got the New Jersey governor's race. I think that's Tuesday. You got the mayoral race in New York, which he looks like he's going to win Mondami. And then Ciccarelli in New Jersey. It's a dead heat, I think, right now. That's going to be interesting. A Republican wins. I think, look, we got to be careful about where we are and what we're thinking about this. I'm concerned about, it's not about this per se. I think getting back to what I was talking about earlier about the dissenting narratives undermining America first. Yeah, Rand Paul's a piece of crap. Munchkin is garbage. He's got the brittle hair. I mean, what is wrong with Kentucky? Is it me, or is it like every representative of Kentucky is just, they're batshit crazy. They're anti-Trump. I mean, I don't care what you say about Massey. Massey's got to go. Even J.D. Vance put it nicely at TPUSA. He goes, doesn't matter. Every opportunity he finds some way to what? Vote against a bill. So does Rand Paul. These aren't Republicans. They're rhino cucks that will only vote, okay, if it has nothing to do with President Trump. That's the bottom. That's the bottom line. This point of where we are right now, when you look at the Senate and the House, it's a waste of time. All it is about getting this clean CR, funding the government very soon, and see what happens. When or if they put that cloture to the bill, to the floor, and Thomas Massey says, yeah, let's get this going and see if we can undo this. Maybe. I'm not really sure. And do you really care? I mean, I'm sad for the military, ICE, a lot of the federal employees that are not getting paid, that are actually doing yeoman's work to protect us in a lot of ways. We should be thinking about them and their families and what they got to go through. Is it fair to them? I don't care about all these other people laid off and furloughed that have had jobs there that they probably shouldn't have for decades, that they didn't deserve to have anyway. I'm not, willing to go that far and say, hey, you know what? Just because SNAP is done and stuff, they should all starve. But let me tell you right now, the good swath of those people that are milking off the government, all right, they're going to be just fine. Everybody else in there that probably needs it and deserves it, they're the ones who's suffering. And what percentage is that? We don't know. The numbers are so skewed, you don't even know. 59% this, 62% that, 28% this. There's so much, let's just put it this way, minutia that's built into this, just like Elon Musk is saying, inside the government. That's why Doge was shut down, because they don't want you to know that they can stop this or end this. They don't want you to hear what is actually taking place. Why would they want to tell you? Because you'd say, keep it closed. Let it all come crashing down. But again, there are still people that are still going to get hurt. There are some people that are still going to get hurt, and you're seeing it right now. But the idea that we allow the super minority to continue, that they don't want to do it, shows you they don't have President Trump's back. They will not do anything in any way to subvert what I said again about changing the dynamics of the filibuster. There's a term for it. It's called thinning the edge of the wedge. Some people would say it's a slippery slope argument. If it goes down, the Democrats will get power. They'll do it right onto us. No, it's not. It's not like that. Not if you bury them right now. Not if you pass the majority of the bills or the agenda forward and you crush them. They're all worried about 2026. That's what it is. It's going to be a lot of changeover. We're going to get more seats in the House. Definitely. In Florida, Texas, a variety of other states, maybe 20 seats in total from the South, from the Southwest to the Southeast. It's going to be fantastic. Will it add to that? Are these going to be MAGA people? Are they going to be based on the numbers that we talk about? MAGA based? Are they going to be what Mark Levin and the War Party people? That's why you need younger or new blood who has a different, let's just say, perspective, objective viewpoint. That's not controlled, that they won't be hampered. This generation coming up, they're done. They have nothing. They're done with all this stuff. They look at their lot in life and they say, why can't I get a house? Why can't I get the car? Why is everything 3 times more expensive? Oh, it's because everything's fraud. There's so much fraud that the reason why that the prices are up at the pump or they're coming down in some areas and higher in others because of taxes, number one, and why food is expensive, it's because, why? All the fraud. You have to charge more. And then behind the scenes, they're collecting subsidies behind the scenes. Walmart, DoorDash, all these things. All these different companies are getting back door money to take those EBT cards. It's all a scam. But once you remove that, then you could start to see where things are. I'm not really sure or certain that on Wednesday, we're going to get this back. I'm not at all. And you know what? I don't really care. I don't. If they're going to come around, Schumer, and say, the Democrats, oh, we'll open up the government now. We'll vote on it. We'll go ahead because Mandami won. And if that's the ploy, because they don't want to keep that going, why that is, that's going to be highly, let's just say, you're going to see that on blast and people are going to notice that. Bassett was saying that today. I just don't buy it. I'm just not really sure. Okay. And this is the last thing we'll dip out. This is a positive thing. It's all over X today, but I got the article. Sean Joe, what's up? Gifted the can. Thank you so much. Thea donating 900 gold pills and a cookie. Another 900 gold pills. Thank you so much. Thea, thank you for the shade. Thank you all for supporting the platform. This is a great, great article. Now, the Dilbert creator, Scott Adams, dying of cancer, prostate cancer. And he reached out. I guess the Scavino and other people reached out. So Scott Adams, the creator of popular cartoon Dilbert, has announced he will ask President Trump to save his life. It was all over today, and there was a response. I'll show it to you. The creator of Dilbert cartoon strip on Saturday said, excuse me, on Sunday, that he needs Donald Trump to save his life. Controversial cartoonist Scott Adams took to social media on Monday. I'll ask President Trump via X to help save his life. He offered to help me if I needed it. I guess that his healthcare provider, Kaiser of Northern California, has approved an application to receive a newly FDA drug. So Dr. Oz and Bobby Kennedy are basically on this. And he said he'll continue saying, I'm declining fast. My question is, why weren't you on a protocol like everybody's taking, like ivermectin, mendobenzidol, fenbendazole? I'm not knocking the guy, but why weren't you trying to do that on your own and reaching out to go other ways and alternatives while you were waiting on this? You know, that's just the question I'd like to ask. On Monday, I'll ask President Trump this. As many of you know, I was metastasized prostate cancer. That's painful, man. That's really painful. This is sad. As many of you know, I metastasized the prostate cancer. My healthcare provider, Kaiser Northern California, has approved my healthcare. Yeah, a little too late. Pluvicto, but they have dropped the ball in scheduling the brief, the IV to administer it, and I can't seem to fix that. I'm declining fast. I'll ask President Trump. It's not a cure, but it does give good results to many people. Can we send this guy ivermectin, fenbendazole, mendobenzidol? Where's Dr. McCullough? I mean, honestly, where is he? Someone like this, who is a pretty smart guy, would know. I would be reaching out. Look, with every opportunity you have, and I'm not knocking the guy, but I'm surprised his healthcare provider dropped the ball. So here it is. This comes from Election Wizard. And, this was a good story. I think the point is that I'm trying to make here and stuff. When you see this, Scott Adams receives help from President Trump after his plea. RFK Jr. reaches out. On Monday, I'll ask President, I need it, as many of you know. And then President Trump responded. He says, I got this. As many of you know, I've metastasized prostate cancer. My healthcare provider, Northern California, has approved my application to receive. Scott, how do I reach you? The president wants to help. Boom. I thought this was just awesome. It shows you how empathetic he is, how how President Trump really does care about your individual livelihood. He's fighting for you every day. This is why it frustrates me, because the MAGA movement is Trump. Okay, the tent is big for people to sit under it and help move the movement and the agenda of 47. Okay, Agenda 47. That's his movement forward for the American people, while all these other things are taking place. Not to move someone else's agenda from another country who doesn't like a certain clamor of discussion because you don't like certain rhetoric that you want to bounce back at people, and we can't have private discussions or open discussions about that. No open debates. But this is what shows me when I look at MAGA, I only see President Trump. I see a lot of people under this umbrella with very different viewpoints. Very different viewpoints about this or that or the other thing. But with all it being said, it really doesn't matter, because the movement is representative of the culture and where he's bringing us to. And whether you want to get on board with it or not, that's fine. And whether you want to dip out because you see Mark Levin, because Mark Levin, he's a rhino cuck. He's a warmonger. He's part of that Bush, the last dying gasp of the Bush ultra party of the warmongering. They haven't seen a war they haven't liked. Lady Graham, Ted Cruz, Randy Fine, they're not representative of you. If you live in Melbourne, Florida, you should vote that guy out. Don't elect him again. Don't elect that guy again. Because you know what? If you have anything to say against what he's saying, he'll come after you. He'll make sure he deplatforms you, debanks you. He will make sure that you're destroyed. If you're living in his district, you should vote him out. What a piece of shit. And anybody that represents you, okay, should not be doing that at all. We went through this, and we will continue to go through this until we stop the censoring. Yes, we have to stop the bickering. We have to stop the infighting. But people are allowed to have their open debates, whether you like the conversation or not. You stand heated from one point of view to another. You're allowed to have open debates. Without an open debate and open discussion, our country is dead. It also weeds out the chaff, if you really think about it. But that is the chaff of what I just showed you today. You know, the dissenting narratives that are undermining America, because they're not there for you. They're there for them. They don't care about your lot in life. Actually, you heard Mark Levin. They're there for the bureaucrats, because when they get in there, they crush them. They crush them with all that love, all that, APAC love. You know how that goes. All right, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank everybody out there. Let's see, who won everything. Let's see. Yeah, Thea with 4.8, Wood USA 534, and Lucy Rosebettle. Thank you all so much for supporting the platform. Yes, Alita, your Dodgers won. I think it was hilarious. It's funny because I was up till like 1 a.m. I don't really sleep this much. I'm quitting the caffeine when I'm not really drinking that much. But you know what the funniest thing is on that? It's that I got the result that it came up, and the first thing I thought about was when they won. I was thinking about the Prime Minister of Ontario. Man, this guy's eating a lot of crow. You should see the ads. Thank you, Alphabet Omega Pill. You should see the ads that this piece of work in Canada put out, this Premier Ford, of things that he was saying and stuff like that. Canada has no right to talk about our cities and states. Like they're like some let's just say bastion of freedom, bastion of wholeness. What they do to their people up there is disgraceful. They were trashing California. It's all these things they were saying. I think that was a disgrace in some way, but you shouldn't let them get away with that in some way. And maybe he'll pay his debt. I guess he made a deal or a bet or what have you. Yeah, Carney's bad news. They're all bad news. UK government, the connection with a lot of other things that we'll get to. All right. Well, that's our show for tonight. Let me cancel this out and close out the music and stuff. So tomorrow I will return with Marshall at 7:30. I want to thank everybody out there at 7:30. So we'll be back by then, and have a good night. I mean, think about what's going on. Think about where you are at, where you align. Maybe you just want to align with yourself and not have to be forced into a situation that you don't like. You have to control the narrative from your perspective, not let someone else control it for you. Don't be wielded around by certain flashy rhetoric that even though that you may support, that you don't want to get into, but you do want to say, because you have the right to say. Don't be told otherwise. Good night, everybody. Ciao, Bella.